How did the French capture Louverture? Louverture's army faced further setbacks. In April, Henry Christophe, one of Louverture's top generals, joined the French. Realizing his positioning was weakening, Louverture agreed to negotiate with Leclerc. Remember, Leclerc's from France. In May, Louverture retired from the war and returned to his family home in the countryside. Dessalines, the last of Louverture's top officials, allied with the French shortly after. So Louverture retires, Dessalines takes over in his place, and he was fighting again to get the plantation systems back in order and stop the rebellions. A month later, Leclerc betrayed his agreement with Louverture, tricking him to a false meeting. Leclerc and his men captured the colony's governor-general and put him in a boat to Europe. So he tricked Louverture and said, oh yeah, let's have a meeting, and then they captured him, sent him on a boat back to France. He was imprisoned in a secluded jail in the French Alps. Louverture died less than a year later. So again, you can just put a summary that he was captured and then he died while he was in prison there. How did the French underestimate the campaign to retake Saint-Domingue? So underestimate, thinking that something is going to be easy and quick, but it's not. So the French thought, oh yeah, no problem, we'll take over that island easy and quick. And it doesn't happen because they're so strong, the former enslaved. From the beginning, Leclerc, so remember he's the French military, realized that Bonaparte had underestimated the time and manpower it would take to subdue the colony. Within 2 weeks of Leclerc's arrival in Saint-Domingue, 2,000 European troops were in the hospital, 3/4 of them sick with yellow fever and other tropical diseases, and the rest wounded. At the end of the first 3 weeks, 500 had died and another 1,000 were wounded. So the same way all the Taínos died from disease, now the French were dying when they were coming over to Saint-Domingue. They were dying from diseases. Leclerc's war in Saint-Domingue would last for nearly 2 years, and he thought it would only be 3 weeks. From February 1802 to November 1803, more than 40,000 troops fought to reclaim Saint-Domingue for France 3 months after landing, when Bonaparte had intended the campaign, 3 months he thought it would take, to be finished. A third of Leclerc's original army was sick or injured, and thousands more were dead. So here is a summary that I did for you in this one. So 1/3 of the French army was sick or injured, and then thousands more were dead. How did the fight for independence continue? Although the bulk of Louverture's army was fighting for France, there were still armies contesting the French presence. These armies were bands of former Maroons, remember the Maroons who ran off to the hills, who had never joined Louverture's revolutionary army. They had continued fighting throughout Louverture's time as the governor-general. These groups wanted land and the complete abolition of the colonial system. So remember, they just want their own land, they want to have a simple life, and they want not to be a colony of France anymore. They did not trust the intentions of revolutionary leaders, many of whom were now landowners that supported the plantation system. So for a summary for this one, the Maroons were still alive and well and fighting against the French. These Maroon armies wanted their own land and to completely get rid of colonial system. They wanted to be their own nation. So once you've done all of this, answer the next few questions on the slides.